everybody. Hey, alright, so we got started on all of our outlines for our topics that are coming up, and I wanted to change something up just a little bit. Excuse me. I apologize, I had to go grab my ink. Forgot my pen's running out of ink. Anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to change up the structure of things just a little bit, and not a huge deal, but we are going to we weren't too far into things, so we're just going to get back into what we were doing in the first place, but I'm just starting it on a new like a new slide, so slightly new format. So let's get started. We're going to talk about server form factors. Now, the way that I would typically negotiate something like this is I'm going to talk about, well, we have, there we are. I'm going to outline, we got physical servers, different shapes and sizes, and we have tower servers. We have blade and rack mount servers. We see blade servers are mentioned here again. Okay. Physical servers. Knowledge of server racks. Sliding rails. Equipment. Much better use of space. And tower servers. Blade enclosures. Blade enclosure, that must be important. Blade servers into the enclosure. Okay. Here we have a term called data server density. So, we talk about server form factors. Under there, we must have some things like physical servers. Okay, we got physical servers. And so within those we have tower, blade, rack. Okay. Knowledge of server racks. Sliding rails. We got tower servers, blade enclosures, tower servers, blade enclosures. We got a term called data server, data center, server density. Okay. So that's we got that. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Let's just duplicate this. Our next topic, server CPUs. Okay, so servers often have multiple CPU chips plugged into sockets on the motherboard. One or more cores. Each core has the same physical functionality of a physical CPU. Multiple cores embedded on a single CPU chip. CPUs use high-speed L1, L2, 3 cache memory. A 4 GHz CPU slows down when data needs to get on a bus to get to a different component in the server. For example, down to 600 megahertz. Where desktops and servers commonly use more powerful, complex instruction set computing processors. Mobile, they need less power. Mobile and device electronic, less heating and cooling, so the attendee is reduced. Okay, so let's talk about what we just saw here. We saw servers, multiple physical CPU chips plugged into CPU sockets. Okay. And we got one or more cores. Okay. CPUs use high-speed L1, L2, and L3 cache memory. Where should we know that from? We should know that from A+. So L1, L2, and L3 cache memory. I need to look that one up, right? I should be able to look that up and explain it to you. But I need to order a new A+ book. So I can't look it up right now unless I were to Google it. I'll make that as a side quest. I'll have to Google and explain to you guys L1, L2, and L3 cache memory. So we'll make that a side quest. We got two other new terms that I don't think we're very familiar with. Complex. Instruction computing, instruction set. And that's CISC. I should surround that with parenthesis just to be specific. And then we have a reduced instruction set. Computing. And that's RASC. And so what do these do? Desktop servers, desktops and servers. Okay. Oh, these are types of processors. Okay, so and then come out here. These are types of processors. And these are for what? Mobiles? Mobile and consumer electronic devices. So that would be like your refrigerator that has USB ports on it for whatever reason, you know. I'm sure most of us have seen that tweet by now, like that kid that got grounded and her parents took away her phone, so she sent a tweet from the refrigerator. I'm sure most of us have seen that, but yeah, that would be an RASC processor if you think about it, because it's just an IoT device. You know, like a refrigerator. It's just an IoT device. All right, so we see a lot of people skipping through here. Welcome everybody. Thanks for stopping through. We're going to move on to our third page here. After, let's see here. Come on. So what do we need to know after server CPUs? We need to know about server memory. Okay. So, we're going to be talking about RAM. Virtual servers can be configured to use RAM as needed. the RAM becomes available from the virtual servers on the same underlying physical host. Okay. Memory is either SDRAM or DRAM. SDRAM is used in smaller amounts and faster. DRAM requires a constant refresh of electricity. SDRAM is used for L1, L2, and L3 cache memory, not the main system memory. That would be DRAM. So let's take a minute and take these notes real quick. Server memory, we're talking about RAM. Or, okay. Most of you already know this, I'm sure, like the person who wouldn't know. The person who wouldn't know what RAM stands for might be an edge case, but, you know, no shame. We all had to learn somewhere. If you're learning it here, that's awesome. Okay. But most of us already know what RAM stands for. Okay. So extra RAM becomes available from, let's see, virtual servers can be configured to use more RAM as needed. So that's a pretty cool thing about virtual servers. But that's virtual servers, right? Should we underline that? Let's underline that. Just control U, virtual servers, just to make sure you know. Just to make sure I know. These are my notes for me. Okay. Servers, memory. Extra RAM. In fact, let's indent this. The extra RAM is made available physical host computer. Okay. That has spare, because it has to have spare RAM. If it doesn't have spare RAM, then it doesn't have anything to offer it except a race condition. Okay. SRAM. Static RAM. We'll call that SRAM. And what about it? What do we want to know about static RAM? Used in smaller amounts. Used for it's faster than DRAM. Okay. Used for L1, L2, and L3 cache. Once again, that's our side quest. I'll call it CPU cache, just to be specific. That's my side quest, is to look that up for you guys. I should be able to explain that to you. Let's see here. Not used for main hook. Not used for main system memory. Okay. So then what do we have after that? Come on. Duplicate. Well, we have DRAM. Dynamic. And what is it about DRAM? requires a constant refresh of electricity. That's pretty important. So that is used for main system memory. Okay. So I think what we're talking about is the L1, L2, L3. I think those are like little partitions, like used to. But you know, once again, let's not get sidetracked on. That's my side quest to go out and get that and bring it back to you and tell you what it is. 4 gigahertz computer slows down when data needs to get on a bus to get to a different component in the server. For example, down to 600 megahertz. That'd be like the, yeah, that's the bus speed. Okay, where desktops and servers commonly use more powerful. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, we talked. Oh, I'm in the wrong paragraph. I'm sorry. Requires a constant refresh of electricity, and it's used for the main system memory. Okay, so we're caught up on our notes there. You need to know about the various types of RAM chips and which ones will work in your hardware. Some servers will only accept DDR3, double data rate 3. So there are, others use DDR4, and there are others. Many servers use chips that can detect and fix memory. It's known as error coding chips. Memory chips that can detect and fix memory corruption errors. That's why memory chips from a desktop, even though they might physically fit in a server motherboard, may not work correctly. They're usually non-EEC chips. So let's make a couple of notes about these guys too. We're going to talk about double data rate. So that's DDR3, DDR4, and double data rate 4 and 4, 43 and 14. And whatever, if they have, if we're going to look at DDR5 and whatever else is out there, we'll probably run into that stuff too. So we'll put the etc. there. But DDR3 and 4 are specifically called out. We're going to look at error correcting code. ECC. What about it? Can detect and fix memory corruption errors. Cannot be replaced with standard RAM chips. Okay, that sounds important. Okay, so then our next page that we're going to do, let's move on. Let's make a next slide. There we go. And let's talk about buses and slots. Let's talk about how I can't type today. So what are we talking about? We're talking about expansion slots. So then there are expansion slots. Let's say you need to add an Ethernet card into your physical server. Older PCI slots will fit and work. A ×2 card will fit and work in a there, but it won't work the other way around. A PCI Express times 2 card will work and fit in a PCIe times 16 slot, but it won't work the other way around, meaning you can't take a times 16 card and put it in a times 2 slot and expect the performance of the times 16 card. A bottleneck, right? So cards have form factors. Cards all have their own form factors. Some expansion fit directly into the motherboard. The card is too tall. Won't fit out the back. Anyway, some models will allow for a daughter card to plug in, which has additional slots that can be used. Blades get their additional capabilities from storage and network from other components plugged into the blade enclosure. So you won't find a PCI, you won't see a blade server with PCI network cards plugged in. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that. So we're talking about expansion slots. Okay, and older PCIe times 2 will work in PCIe times 16, but PCIe 16 times will not work in PCIe times 2. So that's kind of important to know. Some cards don't fit right. Daughter boards allow for expansion and the use of let's see here. Okay, daughter boards will allow for rack mount models. We'll find out more later. What else does it say? It says blade servers, something about blade servers. Blade servers get their additional capabilities from other components plugged in. Other components plugged into the blade enclosure. So the blade enclosure is going to be kind of important here, you see. Blade server does not use PCI network cards. for whatever reason. We'll find out more later. Okay, so let's take a break here, and when we come back, we'll start with virtualization. So thank you everybody for joining, and we'll come back. We'll talk about virtualization and environmental factors and heat and airflow, and we'll continue on. All right, see you then.